All right, over to New England. Fired Bill, hired Jerod Mayo. Um,
You want
I'll
to
go
you want to
first
say
on
what
this
you
one.
put down for who they hired?
No. Um, I'll go first. Cam grade B plus, and I'm gonna go with this. Or I'm gonna go first because I've always been in on this hire. I think Jerod Mayo is a great coach. My worry is similar to Luke's worry is that he will try to maintain the Patriot way to a T. But I think Mayo is also very smart and will realize pretty quickly that he can't actually do that exactly, and he's going to improvise a little bit, probably on the fly at times, and it might look ugly at first, but he was a great player, and I think he's going to figure it out, and then he's going to maintain a new look Patriot way that still has very much shades of the past wrinkled in there. And the only way I would have given this a better grade is if they hired Vrabel, but obviously that was never in the cards because Mayo was the coach in waiting, like you said, um, or like you wrote down. You'll say here in
Like
a
I'm about
second,
to
I guess.
say,
But
yeah.
you know, I don't think it's a bad hire. I just it is consistent. He's still in the building. The players know him already. Um,
It's a good point. Yeah.
And I think, they do need a fresh start because a lot of these guys, they're not, yes, they have this Patriot way maybe ingrained into their heads, but not like the old Patriots, not when Tom Brady was there. So you need something different. And I think Robert Kraft realized that. And I think Bill Belichick was probably like, yeah, that makes sense too. And I understand why you're getting rid of me. But um, yeah, I think it could work out with Gerard. It might, like I said, I think it could be really ugly for like a year, but I don't. I think they'll be willing to give him some time. I mean, he's a true patriot, so um, yeah, B
Yeah, I
plus.
mean, it has to really like get disastrous in order for them to move on just 1 year in, I would say. Um my grade is a C plus. I'm not quite as high on it as you are. While I don't necessarily think it's a bad hire, I mean, he was the coach in waiting. I compare it to kind of like a John Shire situation. Like everyone knew he was getting the job. Once Bill left, once Coach K left, he was kind of being groomed to be this head coach. Which I mean, that it worked out for John Shire because I mean that program it really didn't miss a beat. But the only thing is, when John Shire took over the Duke program, it was still fine. I mean, they were coming off a Final Four appearance. They still had great recruiting classes. The Patriots are not in a good spot. I mean, obviously, they're the third worst team. They had their worst season of the century, worst season in, I mean, decades. This is not a good spot for it's not going to be a smooth transition. I mean, they let it get bad before they are making the transition, unlike Duke. Um, and like you mentioned, I would say I think he's going to try and implement the old Patriot way. But unfortunately, the more and more we get away from the old Patriot way, the more we realize that the Patriot way was literally just Tom Brady. I mean that was it. It was the Tom Brady way. It wasn't the Patriot way because when he went to the Bucks, it seemed like they kind of played Patriot football a little bit, if that makes any sense. Um, so I don't think that thing will ever be fully back. And I mean, if they want to be successful, Mayo's going to have to he's going to have to create his own identity of a football team. He's going to have to really. I mean, sure, he can put parts of the old Patriot way in there. Some of the defenses and stuff like that because he was a part of them. But I mean, it's never gonna be fully back. And I do think he'll have a long leash. They believe in him. The organization does. I'm not so fully convinced. I'm not fully into it. But I mean, he's going to have time, and that's all you can ask for. To implement your way. They have the third overall pick, which is exciting. If they were smart, they would use it to draft the last of the big three quarterbacks that doesn't go. And because I mean that's really their big spot right now. Mac Jones is clearly not the guy. Bailey Zappi has shown flashes, but he's not consistent with it. So I could see maybe Zappi sticking around as a backup or something like that. But I mean, Mac, he's done, right? He's done. Um, So I mean, this is really a time if they can get that quarterback, start building up that offense because that's their weak spot. I mean, the defensive they've been fine since Tom Brady left. Last year they were kind of shaky, but they still have some of that defensive identity there in New England. Um, so I don't. Who is the offensive coordinator of this team? I'm unsure of that.
I don't know. I don't know if they've hired somebody or not. I don't even remember who it was last year. If
Is it
they
Matt
had one.
Patricia?
Maybe, but I think they let him go, and then the Eagles picked him up.
Yeah. Alex Van Pelt is the offensive coordinator. He's 53
Gotcha.
years old. I don't really know a lot about him. I've heard the name before, but it's not really moving the needle for me.
No, I'm more of a Scott Van Pelt guy.
Yeah, me too. Um, any relation, I wonder. So yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of questions here, a lot of uncertainty. But the biggest thing is the organization believes in him. I think the fans believe in him, which creates a long leash. And I mean, if he fails, it's gonna be on him. So
Yeah.
C plus.